Maybe you've been trying to master English for quite some time. You study hard for a few days, full of motivation. Then, suddenly, something happens. You stop. A few days turn into weeks, and eventually, you decide to start again. And then, the same thing happens all over again. Many people get trapped in this endless cycle of starting and stopping, and every time you lose momentum, a quiet doubt begins to grow inside you. Maybe I'm just not good at languages. Maybe I'll never be able to do this. But what if the problem was never your ability? What if it was simply your lack of consistency? Learning a new language takes patience. You don't become fluent overnight. It is the small things you do every single day that gradually make you better. Think about how many times you've closed an English book or tutorial and told yourself, "From tomorrow, I'll follow a proper routine." And you meant it. You genuinely wanted to change. But tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. And somehow, nothing changed. That doesn't mean you've stopped trying. It simply means you haven't yet discovered the most effective way to keep going. And today, I want to tell you the story of someone who discovered it. Let me tell you about a young man named Arian. Arian was 21 years old and came from a middle-class family in a small town where life moved slowly and career opportunities were limited. His father worked incredibly hard at a local rice wholesaler, doing everything he could to provide for the family. Arian had seen his father's sacrifice up close. Every evening, when his father returned home exhausted, his tired face stayed in Arian's mind. He desperately wanted to do something that could bring his family a little more comfort and financial security. But Arian didn't dream of becoming famous overnight. His dream was much simpler and much more personal. Arian wanted to become fluent in English. His goal was to get a job at a good multinational company and build a better future for himself and his family. From the outside, that might sound like an ordinary goal. But for Arian, it was his way out of poverty. The problem was, he couldn't afford an expensive language course. He couldn't hire a private tutor. He didn't even have a good smartphone or a laptop. All he had was an old, cracked mobile phone. But that didn't stop him. Every day, he kept learning new words and practicing pronunciation. Sometimes, he felt so frustrated that he wanted to give up and join his father's work. But he refused to let go of his dream. One day, using his old mobile phone, Arian subscribed to an English YouTube channel. He started listening to English every night. With the little money he had saved, he bought a simple notebook from a local bookshop. Every day, he carefully wrote down everything new he learned. To Arian, every page of that notebook felt like another step towards his destination. For the first 2 weeks, his motivation was incredible. After dinner, he would sit on a mat on the floor and study for hours. He stood in front of a mirror and practiced speaking English to himself. Whenever he made a mistake, he laughed, corrected himself, and tried again. He was completely focused on his goal. But then, something happened. One day, a distant relative came to stay with Arian's family. Soon after that, there was a large social event in the neighborhood, followed by several family responsibilities. The house became busy and crowded. By the time Arian returned home at night, he was exhausted, so he told himself, "I'm really tired today. I'll start again properly tomorrow." There was no major disaster. Nothing dramatic had happened, just the usual things life throws at us: family commitments, social obligations, work, and a little bit of tiredness. One missed day became 3. 3 days became a week. And before Arian realized it, his notebook was sitting in the corner of his table, covered in dust. Arian stayed away from his studies for almost a month. He hadn't given up forever. He had simply taken a long break. Then one day, he picked up his notebook again. But something had changed. The excitement he once had was gone. Words he had learned only a few weeks earlier suddenly felt unfamiliar. He opened the YouTube channel, but he felt strangely unmotivated. He locked his phone again, not because he was angry, but because he realized something important. Starting from the beginning is often easier than starting again after losing your momentum. Arian wasn't unintelligent, and he certainly wasn't lazy. He had simply fallen into the same psychological trap that catches so many of us. Our motivation is like the tide. Sometimes it is high, sometimes it is low. One day you feel incredibly motivated. The next day you don't want to do anything. But your personal growth cannot depend on how you feel every day. Consistency has nothing to do with always feeling motivated. Most people imagine consistency as something almost impossible. They think they must wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, study for 5 hours, and give up every form of entertainment. But that's not consistency. That's an unrealistic expectation. And when people can't maintain that perfect routine, they feel like failures. But the truth is much simpler. Real consistency doesn't mean being successful every single day. It means not allowing your process to reach zero. After an exhausting day, reading English for just 10 minutes before bed can be consistency. When you're in a terrible mood, saying just 2 sentences in English can be consistency. And after a long break, returning to your desk and starting again from where you stopped. That is consistency. Consistency doesn't mean you will never have a gap. It means that every time you take a break, you come back. Think about a huge rock standing by the sea. Waves hit it every single day. Not with violence, not with urgency, just patiently. And over time, that water slowly changes the rock, not because of strength, but because it never stops coming back. One of the biggest problems with small efforts is that, at first, they feel completely insignificant. 10 minutes of practice seems like nothing. Learning 4 or 5 new words feels like a drop in the ocean, because our minds want quick and visible results. We want a miracle. But the human brain doesn't understand instant transformation. It understands repetition. Every time you return to your practice, even for just 5 minutes, your brain registers that action. And slowly, the resistance begins to disappear. Maybe your story is completely different from Arian's. Perhaps someone once laughed at your English pronunciation. Maybe you've compared yourself to someone who learned faster and started believing that you weren't good enough, or perhaps financial and family pressures made studying almost impossible. Whatever your reason was, it was valid. I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to remind you that it isn't too late. Before you search for another book, another course, or another technique, you need to let go of one belief. The belief that you have to be perfect. You may have unconsciously convinced yourself that if you can't do something perfectly, there's no point doing it at all. And that perfectionism may be exactly what's keeping you stuck. Think back to when you first learned to walk. Did you follow a strict routine? Did you study the rules of walking? Of course not. You fell, you cried, and then you got back up. No trainer forced you to continue. Something inside you simply refused to give up. That same determination is still inside you today. You've just forgotten how to use it. Let's make this even simpler. Imagine there's a small plant sitting on your windowsill. You water it today. Tomorrow, you forget. The next day, you remember and water it again. Will the plant immediately die because you missed one day? Of course not. It may grow more slowly, but as long as you don't completely abandon it, it will continue to grow. Arian eventually understood this. He stopped feeling guilty about the month he had lost. Instead of looking backwards, he focused on what he had right now: a notebook, a pen, and one ordinary evening. That was enough to begin again. Arian made a small promise to himself. Every night, before scrolling through his phone or getting distracted by anything else, he would open his notebook for just 10 minutes. That's it, 10 minutes a day. He wrote a simple sentence on the wall in front of his desk. Just 10 minutes a day, no excuses, no negotiations. On the first night, He memorized just 5 new words and created a few simple sentences with them. That was enough. On the second night, he listened to an English podcast and tried to imitate the speaker. His pronunciation sounded strange at first. He laughed at himself. Then he tried again. On the third night, he wrote 4 simple sentences in English about his day. And this time, he didn't need Google Translate. He had written them himself. The most interesting thing was that Arian wasn't highly motivated during those 10 minutes. After a long day at the rice wholesaler, he was physically and mentally exhausted. But he still opened his notebook. And that small act of showing up made all the difference. Our brains are incredibly powerful. Whenever you repeat an action, your brain gradually creates a neural pathway. The first time you do something difficult, your brain has to work hard. It feels uncomfortable. It feels exhausting. But when you repeat the same action regularly, your brain starts making it easier. This is why the first few days of building a new habit often feel the hardest. Your job is simply to keep going. During the second week of his new routine, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, while walking down the street, a thought suddenly appeared in Arian's mind. But this time, it wasn't in his mother tongue. It came directly in English. "The weather is nice today." Arian stopped walking. He was shocked. Nobody had seen it happen. Nobody applauded. Nobody congratulated him. But inside, he felt something incredibly powerful. This was his first real proof of progress. Sometimes, these small personal moments are worth more than a certificate or a qualification, because they show you that the language is slowly becoming part of who you are. You might still be thinking, 10 minutes? That's nothing. What difference can 10 minutes make? Think about the gym. Nobody becomes a bodybuilder in a single day. But if you do just 20 push-ups every day for 3 months, your body will change. The push-ups themselves aren't magical. The power comes from repeating them every day. Arian's quiet battle continued. 1 month passed, then 2, and eventually his 10-minute sessions naturally became 15 or 20 minutes. He didn't force himself. He had started enjoying the process. And that's the real magic of consistency. When something becomes part of your lifestyle, it stops feeling like a burden. A few months later, an unexpected opportunity appeared at Arian's workplace. The owner received an important email from a foreign buyer. It needed an urgent response. The other, more experienced employees looked at each other nervously. Nobody seemed confident enough to handle it. Then Arian stepped forward. He read the email several times. He understood the main points. And then, using simple English, he explained the situation to his boss. That day, everyone in the office looked at Arian with surprise. He hadn't spoken complicated English. He hadn't used impressive vocabulary. But he had understood the problem, and he had solved it. That small moment changed Arian's confidence forever. That night, Arian returned home and opened his notebook. On a fresh page, he wrote, "Today, I used my English to solve a real professional problem for the first time." That one sentence became fuel for his future. Because consistency doesn't just teach you a new language, it quietly changes your identity. Arian hadn't simply increased his vocabulary. He had discovered a new version of himself. A person who could keep going despite exhaustion. A person who could face challenges without giving up. And that confidence began to strengthen every other part of his life. 4 months passed. Arian's notebook was almost full. To anyone else, it was just a cheap notebook. But every page contained the story of a young man's quiet struggle and victory. Think about a seed growing beneath the soil. For a long time, you can't see anything. You water it every day, but the ground still looks empty. You might think nothing is happening, but underneath the soil, the roots are growing stronger. Learning works in exactly the same way. Before you see the first green shoot above the ground, an entire silent transformation is already happening underneath. Now, I want to speak directly to you. Arian's story is not really the most important part of this video. Maybe you've been watering the plant of your dreams for a long time, but because you haven't seen visible progress, you've started feeling discouraged. Let me reassure you, every small effort you make is doing something. It is slowly breaking down the negativity and resistance inside you. You just need to be patient. But as your mentor, I also want to remind you of one uncomfortable truth. Studying intensely for 2 days and disappearing for a month isn't consistency. That's temporary motivation, and motivation without daily action eventually disappears. There is a huge difference between desperately wanting to succeed and developing the habit of showing up every day. So, after you finish watching this video, I want you to do just one thing. Don't create a complicated routine. Don't make an unrealistic plan. Choose one tiny task that you can complete tomorrow night without needing a huge amount of motivation. Learn 3 new English words. Or stand in front of a mirror and introduce yourself in English. Choose one simple action, write it somewhere you can see it, and start tomorrow, not next week, tomorrow. Over time, Arian left his small town and found a place for himself in a well-known corporate office in Dhaka. The job wasn't glamorous, but his English skills made him valuable every single day. Whenever he joined an important meeting or drafted an email, a quiet voice inside him reminded him, "You earned this ability through your own hard work. Nobody gave it to you out of pity." The old notebook was still safely kept in his drawer. He no longer needed it for studying, but it reminded him of the exhausted young man who once sat in a dark room, choosing his dream over sleep. Those small steps had brought him here, and your story can change too. There will be nights when you feel helpless, nights when you feel like everyone else is more successful and more capable than you. But remember this, that moment is not your whole story. It is just one page. You are not running on someone else's track. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. So, tonight or tomorrow night, give yourself just 10 minutes. Open the book, pick up the notebook, listen to English, speak a few sentences, learn 3 new words. Just start. Because your future won't be changed by one perfect day. It will be changed by the small things you keep coming back to. And if you want to continue improving your English, don't forget to subscribe to PrimeAcademy's YouTube channel and follow our Facebook page for more English learning content. Thank you so much for staying with us. See you in the next video. Prime Academy. We create values.